can artwork itself create social change? The artwork itself. I maintain it cannot. I maintain that for all that artists believe desperately that our work leads to greater social good, we don't stop wars, we don't stop injustice, we don't feed people that are hungry. I think it's a false illusion to think that the artwork itself leads to greater social justice. I decided that I would use my personal life in social justice because I wanted to be effective.
Did you know that one of the most famous sculptors in the entire world lives right here in West Oakland? And did you know that he built a studio worth tens of millions of dollars, an industrial cathedral of light and steel, filled to the brim with art that could be seen by all, right here in the lower bottoms of West Oakland? If not, peace, Oakland, you're in luck. I have a very special episode of Gotham Oakland. Some months ago, I spent the afternoon with the legendary Bruce Beasley, a man whose sculptures stand in museums and public spaces from Beijing to San Francisco to Oakland, California, but whose greatest creation may be right here in Oakland, in his community that he's quietly nurtured since 1962. Now, Bruce is more than an artist. He's a builder of neighborhoods, and when he moved here as a young man, he started off by fixing bikes for local kids. He went on to fight to bring the very first streetlights to the lower bottom and helped to stabilize the community that the city had written off. He did his part not just with his sculptures of steel and bronze, but with research, strategy, and organizing, working alongside his black and brown neighbors, to make this place safer, stronger, and more livable to everyone. And yet, like so many of the best and brightest things about Oakland, California, Bruce is being forgotten and dismissed by our local progressives. The Oakland Museum once planned to preserve his studios as a cultural treasure. Now, because they're shifting to headlines and chasing social justice issues, they've turned their back on one of the greatest living sculptors of our time. I met Bruce back in 2021 when I sued the city of Oakland over its failure to follow our encampment management crisis. I helped my mayoral kickoff at his art studio in 2022, and we've been very close friends ever since. Let me tell you, sitting with him, surrounded by his towering sculptures, hearing stories about elephant skulls, liberty ships, and streetlight fights, it feels less like an interview and more like a masterclass in wisdom. The wisdom of our elders, the wisdom Oakland is neglecting as it forgets our seniors. Shame on us. So this is a special interview, and I'm honored that Bruce Beasley trusted me to spend the day with him asking deeply personal questions. You're about to meet not just an artist, but a witness into Oakland's soul. Stay tuned. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get on with the show. Hey, Bruce.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And what is this right here? Hold on. I never think I saw this before. What is this?
Well, what do you think it would be? Come on.
This an elephant head?
Yes, exactly.
I got it right.
What else could it be?
Wow. Where did you acquire that at?
I found that in Thailand. And you can see it had been, elephants had been killed for the tusks. You can see that they broke out the bone, and then this would have been very old. I mean, not hundreds of years, but to have been in this condition with all of the organic material completely gone, this would have had to have been lying in the jungle for years.
And so do these things inspire you for, I remember a great conversation we had when you said, if I remember correctly, it's inspiration.
Yes, well, that's the skull collection. You
Yes.
want to see that up
Oh,
there?
let's see it before we go across.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
yeah.
Skull collection.
Yeah.
So I want to say that, but I don't make things that resemble nature, but I hope that they have some feeling of nature. But we'll get into all that when we go across the way.
Yeah.
Collection. And what fascinates me about the skull is that it is the location of both ingestion of food, breathing, and it holds the brain. So the skull does three really important things. But of course, the shapes are completely different. So that what fascinates me is how nature deals with all these different shapes and sizes that all succeed in being something where food goes in, breath goes in, the brain is protected, including us, and sometimes a skull can tell something about the individual. Now, I'm making the claim that this skull was of a person who was either loved or powerful. Now, how can I know that? Well, you see the difference between this jaw and this jaw. Now, when a tooth comes out of the jaw, slowly the bone starts filling in the holes. So that loss was recent to death. This person who has no teeth but no holes means that the bone grew in all of these holes over a very long period of time. It takes decades for the bone to fill in on all of that. Ergo, this person had to have special food. Ergo, it was someone who was either powerful or loved. Now, powerful people's skulls don't usually end up on sculptors' walls at West Oakland. So I think that this was someone who was loved, and I think that's lovely. Okay, I'm going to let you try that. Think Africa, big animal. And
Rhinoceros?
Yes, good for you, rhinoceros.
Yeah. Non-fiction, global entry. The blue spray profuse and the locals induce cologne envy. They say it's as soon to be declared.
Everything here is the first building. And so this was when I bought this and moved in here in '62.
What year was that?
Let's see, I moved to West Oakland in '62 when our Cypress Street was before it was Mandela, but between 3rd and 5th, there was an old shed, tin shed that I bought. I was there for the first year, and I saw this building empty, and then I was eventually able to purchase this. You know, it's interesting because in the little shop that I had on Mandela, that it was Cypress Street at that time, I would fix the local kids' bikes. And by doing that, I became aware that this neighborhood was quite unique in the sense that when the black population of Oakland mainly came when the people who were building the Liberty ships here recruited blacks from various places to come and work on the Liberty ships. And they tended to come as a group from whatever town.
New Orleans, mostly. Louisiana.
Yeah, well, in Arkansas. Was,
Arkansas, too.
A lot of this neighborhood was more Arkansas.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so what I realized was that this neighborhood, it looked really rough, physically rough. There weren't curbs and gutters, and you know, there were packs of dogs in the neighborhood, and I mean, it looked rough. But what I realized was that it was actually a lot of people that were interrelated, and you know, people knowing each other is what makes social stability. Yeah. And realizing that, I realized that although I was the only white person in the neighborhood, that it was a very socially stable neighborhood. You want me to tell you my first experience of dealing with, you know, the white guy in the neighborhood? When I bought this place, I knew it had been empty. There were no doors and no windows. This building was just empty, and there were not only this was before the homeless. There were railroad bums that came through. There were, but also the kids in the neighborhood were used to using it, to playing in it, because I understood that it was a vacant building for a long time. But so I knew that I was going to have a certain period of establishing control, you might say, because it had just been a neighborhood play place and open. So at first, you know, I put up with some windows got broken as I was trying to put windows in. Some of the windows were getting broken, not all of them, and I was kind of putting up with that. But one day I had just put up a new window. I mean, I had just put it in and a rock came through, and I lost it. I came running downstairs, came outside, I didn't lock the door. That was when this was an open vacant lot. Now it's part of my property, but at that time, this lot here was just a vacant lot. So I came running out, and that was the first time there had been a real reaction. So this boy that had thrown the rock starts running down 3rd Street. There were no curbs and gutters. He's running down the middle of 3rd Street. And I'm running and chasing him. And I caught him, and we're both, and he's saying, "Don't hit me, mister, don't hit me. Please don't hit me." And I'm saying, "Where do you live? Where do you live?" And so finally he points to a house that we'd run right past. So I march him back to the house. I march him up the stairs. You know, it was the typical South Prescott house where there's the 2nd story with the stairway going up. And so I'm holding the kid here, and I knock on the door. And the way the light was, it was warm weather, so it was just a screen door. But I couldn't, because of the light issue. But the person inside could see me. So I'm knocking on the door. His voice says, "What you want?" And I say, "Ma'am, I've just bought that building over there. You could see this building from her front porch." And I said, "Your son's been breaking windows. I don't want to go to the police. I want you to take care of it." And the door opens, no word to me. Door open, a hand comes out, kid goes in, the door gets closed, and I hear the appropriate response of a kid that's getting thumped for having been broken neighbors' windows. And, you know, I said, and I hadn't planned any of that response. I was just, but I said to him, I said, "You know, there's nothing racial about this. a kid's being a problem, you go to the parents first. You assume they're going to take care of it, and if they don't, then maybe you think about the police. But you don't call the police on your neighbor's kids until you've dealt with the parents. I mean, that's just the way it should be. And so that just was how I started acting. And that parent was responsible. That kid was not breaking any more windows. The word got out that the property was being cared for. And so it just went fine. When I bought this, there were no streetlights in West Oakland. And I did a little research, although that was before the internet, and found out that West Oakland was the only part of Oakland that had no streetlights. And I said, well, I know why that is. I mean, this isn't any mystery. And I found that in 1957, the PG&E, the electric company, had gone on public record that they would install streetlights if the city would just pay the bill. I said to myself, oh, I think I've discovered a crack in a brick wall. Mm-hmm. So that was right at the times that we had started our little neighborhood organization with Beasley and Everly Tyler and some other black ladies in the neighborhood, Corinne McReynolds on this street. And we decided to, so I did that research and found out that the PG&E would pay for it. So we we invited the head of the Oakland electrical department to come and tell the neighborhood why is it that West Oakland is the only part of Oakland that doesn't have streetlights. And he said, "Oh well, you're just talking to the wrong person, because if the city council gave me the money, I would have them put in. But you know, installing streetlights is expensive." And I knew he was going to say that.
You knew it.
Just knew it. So, and we had planned this out. So, and I have never wanted to be the main spokesman. It's not appropriate because it's not now. I'm not the only white person in the neighborhood, but I wasn't looking myself for glory. So I think it was a neighbor named James Edgar, I think. And so he said to this person, "Well, Mr. Johnson, I'm sure that you must be aware that PG&E, as of 1957, had said that they would install streetlights if the city just paid the bill." And he said, well, he got a little flustered and said, "Well, you're right, but it's the same thing, because if the city council gave me the money to pay the bill, you'd have streetlights." And so then we knew we had him. So what we said was, "Well, Mr. Johnson, just for the record, when you put your budget in this year for streetlight funds, did you tell the council that the only part of Oakland that doesn't have streetlights could have them if we just paid the bill?" And he got a little flustered and said, "No, I didn't." You see, originally it wasn't districts. And when I came here, the city council basically, the Nolans ran the town because they ran the paper. And so the city council was whoever the Nolans picked. I was learning all this. I mean, I didn't come here with experience of dealing with city politics. I was just a kid from out of college wanting to make an art studio and was here and just sort of, learning it as I went along. but that was a real lesson. And one of the things I learned about that was that, having been to college, that it was inappropriate for me to try to be the spokesman for a predominantly African American population. So what I saw was my role would be research and strategy, but not the flag carrier or the public speaker. They were one of our best assets, because here you had these really scary dudes with guns talking about freedom and the right to bear arms, and along comes a neighborhood and says, we want street lights. Well, the contrast was just great. So I think they were a great asset. They were demanding freedom that, to be honest with you, was not being offered. They were right in demanding it. But so that put us, who were demanding streetlights or a health center, the establishment couldn't give the Panthers freedom. The discrimination and all was built into the system. But so asking for something that was possible actually put us in a position of getting things we wouldn't have gotten otherwise from these scary dudes who were asking for something, freedom and respect, that was not in the offer. They were right to ask for it, to demand it, but that was not probably coming. But streetlights and curbs and gutters came. Come on in. The guy, the man that ran that, I had a great deal of admiration for him. Charlie Smith came from Arkansas. Charlie was not, I don't think, could read or write. He's the hardest working man I ever ran across. So here's the building, the way it looked when I bought it. And this is the lot we're in right now. I'm guarding my resources. We launched your race for the council here. I think of this as my new studio, but you know, it's been 11 years now. Yeah, well, I'm very proud of this. It's to get the chance to build a studio from scratch. So this, you see that the big crane, that's very important. And this is all north light, and there's two big roll-up 16-foot wide, 16 feet high doors, so we can bring in trucks from 3rd Street and load and then drive out this way. So to be able to design a studio for what I needed as a sculptor was just a thrill.
What gift did you give to the studio?
Okay, so
what happened with that?
Okay, what happened with that was, well, that was a sad story. The intention was to leave all the studios, this building and the ones we'd been in already, to the Oakland Museum. And they were then going to keep it as they would then be running it would be the Bruce Beasley Studios, managed by the Oakland Museum, and they would keep a constant exhibition of mine and then have other spaces to have shows for other artists. But part of what the deal they needed to do was, if they were going to have this studio and be, in effect, the spokesman for my work, we needed to establish some real discussions while I'm still around, so that they would be able to be a spokesman for the work. And although they were thrilled to have it be left to them, the new director of the Oakland Museum really has gone to the direction of social issues. And so their heart just wasn't anymore in something that had to do, it was just fine art and it wasn't social issue. And their heart just wasn't in it. The Oakland Museum used to be important as the art part of the Oakland Museum, we took it very seriously to be the art museum of the state, for the state. And the new direction of the museum now is just, it's about social issues. There's now a foundation, and it all goes to the foundation when I'm gone, and it will therefore be open to the public, and it will be, and I think we'll continue with the idea of having exhibitions for other sculptors. I want that very much. I'd love this place to be someplace that the sculptors felt that was a place sculptors could get a first exhibition, or you know, just a place that would stand up for sculpture. A very big issue currently: can artwork itself create social change? The artwork itself. I maintain it cannot. I maintain that for all that artists believe desperately that our work leads to greater social good, we don't stop wars, we don't stop injustice, we don't feed people that are hungry. I think it's a false illusion to think that the artwork itself leads to greater social justice. I decided that I would use my personal life in social justice because I wanted to be effective. And so I have said that my work, I don't expect my work to serve social justice. So I have said that therefore my life actions need to be what serves social justice. Well, I think that for the last 3 or 4 years, the Oakland City Council has been a big disappointment. I think that we have somehow leaders that are unable to really grapple meaningfully with the homeless issue. I think they've just thrown up their hands, and that doesn't help. And I think in many ways it's created a lot of resentment. Until you've washed human feces off of your front porch, I don't want you to tell me that about supporting the homeless. There are two sides of this. But I think that the City Council has been blindly unwilling to hear from the citizens that have to live with the consequences. And I don't think that anyone on the council has ever, on their street or in front of their house, dealt with the homeless issue. So it lets them be, it lets them with no consequence to them to be very, very woke, very liberal, very, but it doesn't help. It's far left that's turned into lunacy. Because when I hear the homeless advocates say, housing first, that sounds great. But what it really means is that we're not going to do anything, because there's never going to be some system that comes in and builds houses for all of the people that need them. It's simply not going to happen. I'd be delighted for it to happen. I'd vote for my taxes to go up to make it happen, but that just isn't in the cards. So to take a position that meaning that we don't deal with homeless until we can provide housing is a way of saying we're not going to deal with it. You see, the thing that I love is making the sculpture. The showing them is nice, but that's not important. What's important to me is the creation of them. So I like having the exhibition, but I don't feel that I'm particularly needed or important at the shows. The work is what matters, not me.
So what strikes me the most about Bruce Beasley isn't just the majestic and monumental art that towers over us in galleries and public squares. It's that for more than 60 years he chose my neighborhood, West Oakland's Lower Bottoms, to live at. He built his life here, he raised his children here, and he fought alongside his neighbors for something as basic as streetlights when the city wouldn't bother. In Bruce Beasley, we see what Oakland once was and what it could be again: creative, resilient, rooted in community, unwilling to accept neglect as normal. His sculptures may outlast us all, but it's his example, his refusal to give up on this city that we should carry forward. Oakland is at risk of forgetting its legends, of abandoning our elders, of losing the wisdom that holds us together. And if we allow that, then the collapse we see around us won't just be political or financial, it'll be cultural, it'll be spiritual. So let's just remember, Bruce Beasley is not just a world-class sculptor, but he's just another neighbor fighting for the city's soul. And Oakland, California is absolutely worth fighting for. Peace, Oakland. I love you. Please go out and enjoy this beautiful day. I see you right back here tomorrow for a very special episode. Barbara Lee's first 100 days. Queen Mayor Barbara Lee's first 100 days. Let's talk about it. Peace.
Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here.